Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. We have built this channel and community based on your recommendations. So whenever I see a huge number of you recommending a particular song, I know that it's not optional. I have to check it out. Thus, today, I'm going to check out your most recommended song, She Sells Sanctuary. Let's get to it. It's so mystical. There's something like ethereal and epic at the same time about this. There's a longing in the sound, and it also sounds somehow exotic. Wow, there's an incredible vibe in the opening of the song. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. I don't know what makes that. I just know that it sounds awesome. I think it sounds a little bit exotic because of the pitch choices, but also there's this really long reverb that's on it that sounds like it's just like echoing over a distance. It feels almost like I'm in a canyon and it's being bounced off of the walls there. But then there's this also almost a synthesized sound that's underneath it all that we hear right at the beginning of this clip, right? That almost like a room noise or background noise at first. It just sounds magical. Makes you go, ooh. And once again, I feel amazed by Ian's footwork. He's so specific in it. He must have done some sort of dance. This one makes me think of a little Irish clogging. The feel is so great in the music. Ah. Oh gosh. There's so much about this that I love, and I'm trying to pick out all of the details still about what makes this atmosphere just so incredible. And I think at some point everything just becomes unexplainable. There's a magical point that music can reach where you go, all of those details, even if they added up to the whole, it isn't just that. It's like once they got closer and closer to perfect, everything exponentially, it just went to infinity. I can't logically tell you all of the steps anymore because it increased so much in the overall value. I think about math a lot. It's gorgeous. I really, really enjoyed this so far. Thank you to everybody that's been recommending it. You guys are totally right. Let's talk a little bit about Ian's voice. There are definitely elements that remind me of Typo negative Peter Steele. I think it's the depth, the stage presence as well. There's like a very goth presentation, and then you have elements of Danzig as well. Danzig. Um, and I am told that there's a lot of the Doors, by the way, in him. Apparently, he even sang with the Doors at one point, but I've yet to listen to the Doors. Just so you guys, it is coming soon. We have it in the queue. Okay, Jim Morrison. I've started to put the two together. I made a hilarious mistake of thinking that the Doors were still alive a while back. Anyhow, I'll get that reference soon. I know a lot of you said that he sounds like them. But are particular reasons why he sounds like those other two, and I'm going to point those out now. I feel like I get lost in this sound. That was a really great line to talk about the vocal production on. Okay. Good spot to catch it. Okay, so I hear it sounds like a really full-throated sound a lot of times. He has a deeper overall tone, and it sounds like he has a lot of space that's open there. But even though there's a lot of space, he brings a lot of forward focus, like almost like having the teeth involved, which you can see here. He's rounding to bring more depth, but then bringing more teeth into the sound at the same time. So he's got a deeper sound that has a bite. This, I think, is particularly applicable. Peter Steele has just an incredible, very, very deep sound. And then when we think about Danzig, that has a lot more bite and a lot of the edginess in his sound as well. Let's keep going. That's such a catchy riff. It's a good melody. That part in particular makes me think more of Danzig. That's because the distortion that he's adding, it's it sounds like he might be using the arytenoids, right? There's this extra collision that I think is happening in his throat. Um, that rattle that you hear essentially on top of the sound. I don't think that's made by his true vocal folds. It sounds like an extra layer. And so we'll see that sometimes in upper laryngeal structures. Sometimes the arytenoid cartilages can come in there and make that kind of sound. There are other structures that could also make it. That sounded a little more like arytenoids to me than some of the other ones, but it's really hard to differentiate. And that's honestly partly because we just don't have that much research about these structures right now. I'm diving headfirst into harsh vocal research. We've done a case study. We have a lot more coming. And we're looking at all of those structures that are above the true vocal folds that are making these sounds, particularly in metal vocalists. But more as like when they're just using those structures on their own, it will inform though how we might understand how he's creating that distortion on top of the singing. So I love the fact that the research that we're currently doing in like deathcore vocalists can absolutely apply to the sound that he's making right now. I think it's a really cool sound. Has texture. Oh. Fascinating. I was curious if he would show more range in this. than I previously heard. And he's still staying within a fairly narrow range, but he's doing everything in there with so much style, really playing a ton with the different textures he can bring in and take away as well. Lots of expression. I think that he's a great example of somebody who doesn't use 3 or 4 octaves to get the idea of a song across. You don't need to use that much. Sometimes it's fun to wow people with those notes, but I don't think that a singer is necessarily better by having more range. Uh, a singer is better by reaching people more, by touching your heart, by making you think about the message or the feeling that you had uh, for years to come. And it makes me very happy that there are versions like this or songs like this that y'all recommend. You're not just saying, Elizabeth, listen to the most out of this world vocalist. You're saying, Elizabeth, listen to the overall music, listen to the vibe, listen to how well he delivers his message within this particular range. That's amazing. It is not. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit on a rant here because I have so many people that come to me and say, I want a much bigger range. It's reasonable to want that if you're going to be singing music that's in a different range, but you do not need it to make awesome, awesome, everlasting music happen. I love listening to the way that he slides between notes. He like gives a little extra between every single one. There's sometimes the pitch is moving fluidly, sometimes you get a little puff of an air or a little break in the voice. It's like all of that stuff between that really counts. His intensity is awesome too. These words are fascinating also. There's some sort of comfort in this song, and I think that makes sense because I think essentially the she in the song is like the sanctuary, is the safe place. Um, and it keeps talking about how the world swirling around is dragging him down. And right there, you could hear the way he was almost going in circles with the world grabbing him and then bringing him down. It's so beautiful to have this, the overall vibe of the song feeling like it's uplifting and just like it's reaching out from your heart somehow. But then you hear that voice that's describing the struggle, and somehow yet the song has that grounding at the same time. It's just like I think that they have set these lyrics so perfectly and shown that the overall impression of the song is that there is a sanctuary somewhere. Let's go back some. The texture adds to that feeling of angst as well. I just like that sound. There's definitely elements of Led Zeppelin in here too, with a sort of exoticism that's introduced right there. I don't know what it is that they put on as the effect of this, a delay of some sort, but it just sounds so cool. I like having his voice mixed in the back is good too. Just want to point out one thing about his mic technique. He's great. He's really, really close to it. And obviously the actual sound of this song isn't the same as the performance. There have been several times when I watched him pull the mic away before the sound had stopped. But you can still see how he uses the mic in a performance. We can judge his mic technique by that. And he approaches that mic like it's a lover. He's dancing with it all the time. It's like, yeah, dancing, and then brings it really close, cradles it. So many singers are afraid of the microphone. There's something about it being cold metal that just is intimidating, I think. The singers that embrace that microphone, that treat it like it were your lover's ear, but maybe, at times back up if you're going to sing a really, really, really loud line, right? Okay, those things. That always has just more emotion and more honesty as well in the sound. Let's go back a little bit. You can watch the dancing parts. I wonder if he ever hit somebody with that stand. Down. Lots of brightness in that part. Really cool effect that's happening underneath there too. They've taken and just looped one of his vocals all the way underneath. It's like they're building up those layers. I'm gonna go back. I don't remember where that started. I just remember hearing it and thinking, oh cool, several times. So let's see if we can find that. No, it's further back. I think it's right there. That vocal line that just happened, I think that's the one that gets looped. There it is, and now it's looping beneath. It's like, that's essentially a counter melody that's happened there. He's created an alternate version that he could have sung on, and then he has the leading one that is actually happening. He uses his mouth really well, meaning he's really going through this entire shape. Another thing that I see often with beginning singers or grunge singers, so it can become a very intentional style, just so you know, has a lot less movement in the mouth. Well, they'll be doing this kind of thing as if they were talking, but singing is much more elongated and exaggerated than speaking. So when people make their mouths more like Pez dispensers, but you have these like very elastic lips on top of the Pez dispenser, so they're making these great, amazing shapes, or wow, right? Those kinds of things. That lends itself often to more dramatic sounds and shapes. But if you're going for that specific grunge kind of sound, one of the things I would say immediately is, if a classical singer was trying to create that, I'd say, close your mouth down. You gotta remove all of that exaggeratedness. So it's possible to have both and do well. These are very exaggerated. I love that counter melody just keeps on going. This is great driving music. Oh gosh, that's such a cool sound. Ugh. I get it now. I get why all of you are recommending this song so much. There is something that is above and beyond magical. And I'm going to put together a playlist over here that has songs that I think just somehow went above the sum of all their parts to create that special magic. So I hope you'll check that out, and may you fall more in love with music every day. Mwah.